Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for both prelims and mains examination perspective will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. So today is 4th of August. The first news of the day that I'll be discussing is India to host UNSC meet on the counter-terrorism. Second, cabinet nod for the climate pledge. This is something very important. Third, Centre withdraws data protection bill. Centre has said that they would be revamping this bill and coming up again. And the second last is Supreme Court calls for a panel to regulate the freebies. Freebies is there in the news. Even the Prime Minister, CGI, that is Chief Justice of India, they have raised concern with regards to the freebies. And the last is editorial, that is reaping the demographic dividend. So this will give you an insight about the India's growing population and how to harness it. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before that, if you're new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do not forget to press a like button. So starting with the first news of the day, that is India to host UNSC meet on counter-terrorism. Something important for General Studies Paper 2, that is bilateral regional grouping and agreement involving India's and affecting India's interest. So India chaired the Security Council Counter-Terrorism Committee for 2022, right? So this is the detail in the news, and India will also host the diplomat of 15 nations, including the United States, China, Russia, for the Counter-Terrorism Committee special meeting. So India tenure at the council will end in December, and this year when the country will preside as a president of the powerful UN organ for a month. तो पूरी एक महीने के लिए इंडिया के पास प्रेसिडेंटशिप रहेगी फॉर द काउंटर टेररिज्म कमिटी, दैट इज फॉर द यूनाइटेड नेशंस सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल. नाउ लुकिंग इनटू द करंट मेंबर ऑफ द यूएनएससी, जो यूएनएससी के सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल है, उसमें 5 परमानेंट मेंबर्स हैं. आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ यू मस्ट बी अवेयर ऑफ दिस फैक्ट. दिस 5 आर द मेंबर कंट्री and the other member countries include this, right? So even you can take the screenshot to get a revision of the member countries and the permanent members. Now focus area की अगर बात करें, जो मीटिंग होनी है, सारे diplomats from all the 15 countries will be the part of the meeting. So what is the focus area of this meeting? The upcoming meeting with a special meeting on the counter-terrorism. This will be focusing on the counter-terrorism. Will specifically focus on 3 important aspects, right? जहाँ पे ये कोशिश की जाएगी जो emerging technology से problem हो रही है उसके बारे में बात हो. Growing use of the member state including the security and counter-terrorism purposes and increasing threat from the abuse of terrorism purposes. तो 3 core areas जो हैं priorities के, that include internet and social media, right? Terrorism financing, or you can say terror financing, and unmanned air system, that is UAS. So these 3 will be the priority areas. And apart from this, the committee will also further look into the aspects जहाँ पे prevalence of जो technologies है, and even the rise of digitalization of technology, emerging of new technology in the counter-terrorism as a topic of growing interest among the member countries. So definitely technology related issues will be the part of the meeting that calls for the counter-terrorism actions and activities, and all the member countries, especially the 5 permanent members. So the 5 countries are the permanent member, 10 are the non-permanent members. तो सारे members में participate करेंगे और ये कुछ global issues जो है concerning the counter-terrorism will be discussed. Now meeting outside New York, this is first time that this is not for the first time, it has already took place earlier, but India में होने वाली है meeting. This is not very frequent which took place, right, outside the New York, but the meeting will be there in India, and this will be the 7th time this is happening. So 7th time ऐसी हो रही है meeting जब कभी न्यूयॉर्क से बाहर ये meeting conduct की जा रही है, right? And the most recent and special meeting for the CTC is outside United Nations headquarters, took place in the Madrid in Spain in 2015, right? We're focusing on foreign terrorism fighters were the focus upon. Now looking to the other aspects, that is the counter-terrorism committee. So the CTC was established in 2001 in the wake of 9/11 terrorist activities, after which the United Nations has taken a cognizance of it, and even the formulations and strengthening of the CTC was on the high priority. Now, the United Nations Security Council resolutions of 1373 had established the Counterterrorism Committee for the subsidized body of the Council. Now, on the eve of the assuming chair of the CTC in December last year, India voted for the resolutions to renew the mandate of the Counterterrorism Committee Executive Directorate. Now, the other news, that is Cabinet Note for the Climate Pledge, something relevant for General Studies Paper 3, that is Conservation, Environmental Pollutions, Degradation, and the EIA. This news is something more relevant for your prelims examination also, because prelims में इस तरह के सवाल काफ़ी ज़्यादा relevant होते हैं. The Union Cabinet has recently approved India's revised NDC, that is the National Determined Contributions जो है इंडिया की. This is a part of Paris climate change, right? So incorporating the Prime Minister vision of Panchamrit strategy, which Prime Minister has recently addressed in the Glasgow meeting, COP26 की जो meeting हुई थी. I'm precisely talking about the COP26 meeting which held in the Glasgow. वहाँ पे Prime Minister ने basically ये कहा था कि India will be coming up with the Panchamrit strategy, right? So what is important here to point to be noted that the pledge will lay out India's clean energy transition pathway from now onwards till 2030, because India के जो पंचामृत के 5 टारगेट्स हैं उसमें 4 ऐसे टारगेट्स हैं जो कि 2030 तक कंप्लीट करनी है, और नेट जीरो एमिशंस की जो टारगेट है वो 2070 के. I'll give you the detail about this the later part of the video. Now India now stand committed to reduce the emissions, जहाँ पे intensity of its GDP will be close to 45% by 2030 from its 2005 level as per the mandate of the National Determined Contribution, which is a part of the Paris climate change, right? And the country will also target about 50% of the cumulative electric power installed capacity from the non-fossil fuel. This is again a target which is a part of the Panchamrit, right? तो उसके डिटेल में मैं आपको आगे बताऊंगा क्या क्या इंपॉर्टेंट टारगेट्स है पंचामृत के. Now, Paris Agreement के provisions की अगर बात करें, this is still valid, although this was held in 2015, but इस agreement के जो clauses हैं वो अभी भी इतने evident हैं कि countries को उस target को achieve करना काफ़ी ज़्यादा important है. Now, as per the Paris Agreement provisions, country must update their pledge every 5 years to make a high committee on the greenhouse gases emission reductions. Now, even the Paris climate change or the Paris Agreement is a global treaty where almost 200 countries have signed the cooperations to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and rein in the climate change. The third is the climate agreement seeks to limit the global warming to well below the 2 degrees Celsius. Now, this is what the target set, 2 degrees Celsius, or preferably below, like close to 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to the pre-industrial level. I think most of you must be aware of this fact. This is a factual information and a relevant information. Now, इंडिया की नेशनल डिटरमिन्ड कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस में क्या क्या बातें कहेगी, इंडिया के जो एनडीसीज हैं उसमें क्या क्या प्लेज्ड हैं. सो इंडियाज फर्स्ट प्लेस इज ऑल्सो नोन एज एनडीसी, दैट इज नेशनल डिटरमिन्ड कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस, हैज 3 प्राइमरी टारगेट्स. कौन कौन से प्राइमरी टारगेट हैं? इंडिया हैज सबमिटेड इज फर्स्ट प्लेस इन 2050 and first was to reduce the intensity of the economy by 30 to 35%, that is close to 2005 levels. Now the second, to have 40% of the installed capacity of electric power from the non-fossil based sources, that is by 2030. And third is to create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 gigaton of carbon dioxide equivalent by 2030 through the additional forest and tree cover. So these are some of the important commitment that India has made, 3 pledge that India has made as a part of NDC, right? Even you can take the screenshot of this and you can revise. These are most important point. If you're writing in mains paper specifically, आपको ये बातें वहाँ पे लिखनी पड़ेगी. तो mains के लिए ये काफ़ी ज़्यादा relevant points हैं. Now India has Panchamrit strategy that I was talking about in the beginning. तो ये कुछ 5 strategies हैं. The Prime Minister of India has announced the strategy called Panchamrit in COP26 meeting in Glasgow. The first target is that India will reach its non-fossil energy capacity of 500 gigawatts by 2030. And this strategy is very, very important for both prelims and mains examination. जो भी बच्चे मेंस लिख रहे हैं उनको ये पूरी पांचामृत के बारे में पता होना चाहिए, एक एक लाइन, राइट. Now, India must meet 50% of its energy requirement by renewable energy, that is by 2030. Now, India will reduce the total projected of the carbon emissions by 1 billion ton from now onwards till 2030. So मैंने आपको पहले बताया स्टार्टिंग में जितने भी टारगेट्स हैं 4 टारगेट जो हैं वो 2030 के डेडलाइंस पे हैं एंड द लास्ट टारगेट just come to the second last, then I'll come to the last. The second last, that India will reduce the carbon intensity of its economy by less than 45%. और जो last target है वो 2070 के लिए target है that India will achieve its net zero emissions by 2070. So first 4 targets has to be achieved in 2030 and the last target, that is a net zero emissions, is for 2070. Now this is again an infograph. You can take the screenshot. Even it says whatever we have discussed, you can briefly revise it from here, right? Now moving to the other news, that is government withdraws data protection bill to bring the revamped versions and regulation, something relevant for general studies paper 2. That is government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from its design and implementations. Now, the Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology has withdrawn the data protection that was recently basically withdrawn from the Lok Sabha, which was introduced, and government has said कि अब ये नई बिल लेकर के आएंगे पार्लियामेंट में, right? So the personal data protection bills were first drafted by the expert committee, which was headed by Justice B.N. Shri Krishna in 2018. The bill was introduced in the parliament way back in 2019 and was first referred to the joint parliamentary committee of the house for the examination. आपको पता है कोई भी बिल टेबल्ड होती है तो अगर वो बिल काफ़ी ज़्यादा इम्पैक्टफुल है तो जेपीसी को भेजी जाती है फॉर scrutinizing that particular bill if required, right? And the committee report was tabled in the parliament in 2021. तो जब 2019 में ये बिल ज्वाइंट पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी को भेजी गई तो ज्वाइंट पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी जो जेपीसी है उन्होंने वापस इस बिल को 2021 को टेबल किया पार्लियामेंट, राइट? Now, reason for the withdrawal, why government has withdrawn this bill, what was the reason that was cited by the minister himself? So, according to the ministry, considering the report of the JPC, or you can say the Joint Parliamentary Committee, the comprehensive and legal framework is essentially required. This is what the committee has said. And they've proposed 81 amendment, that was there the bill finalized. और Shri Krishna committee ने 21 recommendations, 12 recommendations दिए total और 81 amendments बताए. तो गवर्नमेंट का कहना है कि अब फ्रेश इस बिल को इंट्रोड्यूस की जाएगी ताकि जितनी भी एम्बिग्यूटी है उसको खत्म किया जा सके. Now hence the circumstances that it is proposed the withdrawal, the personal data protection bill will be present in the new format with a comprehensive legal framework, right? So make sure if you're writing in your answer in mains, आप ये पॉइंट जरूर लिखें कि गवर्नमेंट एक नए सिरे से एक कंप्रिहेंसिव लीगल फ्रेमवर्क लेके आनी चाहती है और जो जेपीसी के रिकमेंडेशंस थी, राइट, जो ज्वाइंट कमेटी ऑफ पार्लियामेंट है उसकी जो रिकमेंडेशंस है उसको इंप्लीमेंट करने के लिए नए रिवैम्प वर्जन्स को लेकर के आएंगे. Now, latest version of the data protection bill, the latest version of the bill will include both the personal and the non-personal data under its ambit, which will dealt by a data protection authority. So basically, this will be held by the DPA, that is the Data Protection Authority. And the previous bill mandate that was limited to the personal data and moved to the non-personal data under its ambit was criticized by the many stakeholders. Even बहुत सारे ऐसे चीजें हैं जहाँ पे non-personal data की बात की गई थी, तो experts और stakeholders ने इस पे concern भी raise किया है, right? So this is again a challenging part. The reason the government has rolled back this bill. Now story so far अगर देखिए किस तरह से चीजें move की हैं. For 2018 the first bill was presented by the expert panel and MIT started the drafting of the bill. The JPC is formed with the BJP MP, that is Meenakshi Lekhi, as chairperson. And in 2020, the committee seeks more time to present its report and extension was granted. Now in 2021, PP Chaudhary appointed as a new chairperson after Lekhi to induct into the cabinet. And JPC reported its stable in the parliament. Still debate was ongoing. And finally in 2022, government has withdrawn a bill. So what is the conclusion? That see, this was not successful, right? If the revamped version is against not addressing the problem and if it is getting into the other non-critical data or non-essential data, because Supreme Court ने ये कहा है that right to privacy is essential. तो इस बिल को ऐसे लेके आनी पड़ेगी कि जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजमेंट्स हैं उनको भी ध्यान रखा जाए, right? Now, moving to the other news, that is Supreme Court called for a panel to regulate the pool of freebies. I think freebies is a topic which is a lot debated nowadays. कल मैंने आपके साथ एक एडिटोरियल भी डिस्कस किया जहाँ पे फ्रीबीज पे बात की गई थी. So freebies again an important topic. You can expect a question in the mains examination. This is important for General Studies paper 2, structure, organization and function of executive and judiciary. So recently the Supreme Court has advised the union government to form a composite expert committee. Supreme Court ने कहा है composite expert committee बनाने की जरूरत है, which will examine the pros and cons of the freebies. जो pros और cons होंगे freebies की, तो गवर्नमेंट जो freebies दे रही है उसके pros और cons क्या है, ये एक expert committee बनाई जाए, composite committee बनाई जाए, जो अपने recommendations या अपने views को सुप्रीम कोर्ट के साथ साझा करे. The apex court has also called for ways to curb the irrational electoral promises, which is hugely impacting the exchequer of both the central government as well as the state government, right? So the Supreme Court has asked the parties for their inputs to set up a specialized body. Now Supreme Court ने क्या suggestions दिए हैं panel के formulation को लेकर के? The Supreme Court has categorically stated that there should be a panel which should comprise of नीति आयोग, कहाँ से members लेने की जरूरत है, नीति आयोग, RBI, Election Commission of India, Finance Commissions, ruling and opposition parties and other stakeholders, so that a comprehensive opinion, a holistic opinion should be developed. And the committee may deliberate on the issues and come up with a report. Now serious economic issues की अगर बात करें, कुछ basically जो economic repercussions होते हैं freebies के, Supreme Court ने क्या कहा है? The bench led by the Chief Justice of India has said that the practice of political promises of freebies of the goods and services is only because to motivate the voters, or even इसके serious repercussions हैं, economic repercussions हैं, even the stakeholders including the taxpayer and the beneficiaries should participate in the debate. So Supreme Court has opened a broader door where it's called for opinion from all the people who are the part of the taxpayer, beneficiaries, and even the government and other stakeholders. The Supreme Court remarks come when a Solicitor General, Tushar Mehta, on the behalf of the government noted that mindless fear-bees and the populist promise of the political parties often led to the इकोनॉमिक डिजास्टर. तो कल मैंने आपको बताया था जो गवर्नमेंट की प्रोग्राम्स एंड पॉलिसीज़ हैं, चाहे वो प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण योजना हो या फिर मिड डे मील्स हो और इस तरह के जितने भी राशन स्कीम्स है, क्या वो भी फ्रीबीज में काउंट होने चाहिए नहीं, ये भी एक डिबेटेबल इशूज है. नाउ द सॉलिसिटर जनरल हैज सजेस्टेड दैट इलेक्शन कमीशन शुड एग्जामिन द इशू, बट अगेन देयर आर ऑफ द ओपिनियन दैट इलेक्शन कमीशन सिर्फ इलेक्शन से रिलेटेड इश्यूज को ही हैंडल कर सकती है. तो क्या फ्रीबीज के कॉन्सेप्ट में वहाँ पे आने की ज़रूरत है, इलेक्शन कमीशन को लिया जाए नहीं? बट सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा है कि आप सारे जगह से जो इंपॉर्टेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, नीति आयोग, फिनांस कमीशन, इलेक्शन कमीशन, सारे जगह से रिप्रेजेंटेशंस ले और एक कंपोजिट बॉडी की फॉर्मुलेशंस करें. नाउ फाइनेंस कमीशन के क्या व्यूज हैं? द चेयरमैन ऑफ द 15th फाइनेंस कमीशन मिस्टर NK Singh has said that the capping on the general government debt to 60% is essentially required for the gross domestic product. And he said that the deficit grant states, for instances, could be leaking to the curb of the freebies and off-budget liabilities. And the Finance Commission could be the one institution's mechanism to regulate the spending on the freebies, which destroy the foundation of the economic stability, especially the macroeconomic stability. Now moving to the editorial of the day, that is reaping the demographic dividend, something important for General Studies paper 2, that is government policies and intervention for the development of various sectors and issues arising from its design implementations. So what I'm going to discuss under this editorial, there are 4 important subheads that I'll be discussing. First is the India's potential workforce, India, open society, deep divide in China, और India के future prospects क्या क्या हैं. Entire editorial focuses upon a theme called harnessing India's demographic dividend. So अभी जिस तरह से UN की latest report आई है on the world populous prospects, it says that India will be surpassing China, right? और world population ये अभी तक 8 billion पहुंच गई है और जो आने वाले समय में 2050 में this will be reaching up to 9.8 billion. So this is a factual information important for your examination, right? So what is the immediate interest of India? That is the population will surpass by 2023 तक India China की population को surpass कर जाएंगे, right? So the need of the hour, what essentially is required, government of India को क्या ध्यान देने की जरूरत है, that how India should invest in the quality school, higher educations as well as healthcare so that we can harness our demographic dividend, right? India's potential workforce की अगर बात करें, as per the Deloitte Insights, which was there in September, it expects that India's potential workforce will grow to अभी currently 885 million है. This will grow to 1.08 billions over the next 2 decades. And this is the finding of the Deloitte. उसके अलावा ये कहा गया कि next 50 years में there will be an Indian summer that redraws the global economic power. Definitely India has a potential to be the economic power. And McKinsey and company ने भी अपने रिपोर्ट में कुछ बातें कही है that says that the turning point believes that the digitalization and automations, जहाँ पे शिफ्टिंग ऑफ सप्लाई चेन, राइजिंग इनकम, डेमोग्राफिक शिफ्ट के वजह से इंडिया की जो ग्रोथ है वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा एक्सक्लरेट होगी एंड क्रिएटिंग 2.5 ट्रिलियन ऑफ द इकोनॉमिक वैल्यू एंड 112 million jobs, which is about 30% of the non-farm work. That is by 2030. So these are the anticipation. To make it reality, definitely government policies and intervention would be essentially required. Now, India and open society. So there is so much going about India's today compared to China, and the only country can be regionally compared with because हमारी comparison population wise या फिर growth wise China से ज़्यादा की जाती है, being our immediate neighbor. So India is a young country that has a youth and better positions to transform itself compared to China. Way back in 1970 चाइना की ये पॉपुलेशन उनके पास जो उनकी डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड थी वो 1970 में काफ़ी अच्छी थी. नाउ इंडिया इज एट द एज. Now, India is still open society where mass protest or matters for the productive result. Even for any schemes and policy, you can criticize the government, you can have a protest, which is not allowed in China, right? And the IT technologies now available in India is the most important. That internet they run have a mature exponential. Now, deep divide in China की अगर बात करें, India does not have a Yukon system with China tethers with the rural folk. अगर बात करें China की rural और urban population की, there is a huge divide, right? And they are deprived of many things. So about 36% of China's overall population in the urban are fully and 64% are living in the rural areas. India की क्या future prospects है, how India need to move upon. So if India potentially need to utilize its demographic dividend, अगर इंडिया चाहती है कि वो अपने demographic dividend की potentially use कर पाए, so India need to invest passively in the quality education and higher education as well as health sector, right? These are some of the important areas that government need to work upon. Healthcare has been neglected for decades across the country, and even unprecedented scale पे इसको neglect की गई है. After the COVID-19 pandemic, this was something that was essentially required कि हमें healthcare sector infrastructures, basic amenities पे काम करने की ज़रूरत है. And India must seize the moment and not be incremental in its approach. So definitely the need of the hour is to work in a proactive manner so that we can overcome all the challenges and harness our demographic dividend at the full potential. So this is how you can conclude your answers. Now moving to the MCQ questions of the day. Before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday's questions. For first question, the correct option is B. For second question, the correct option is D. Today's MCQ for practice, आपको बताना है SanDisk recently seen in the news is related to which of the following? GI enabled tracking system for the sand dunes, social security scheme for differently abled, instant messaging act of the government of India, and a new fertilizer developed by the ICR in New Delhi. Second question of the day, Security Appellate Tribunal के बारे में बताना है. It's a statutory body under the provisions of SEBI Act 1992, and the presiding officer of SAT shall be appointed by the President of India. So do check it out for the correct options. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.